Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And today we're super excited to talk to you about some fall reads with a very specific theme today.
It's Twilight. The theme is Twilight.
Shocking nobody. I don't know why Twilight has come up so much in this podcast.
This is secretly a podcast about Twilight.
I hope not.
We fooled you all.
If you've been with us this long, you do know that we bring it up pretty often. But today we are focusing on some stories in honor of the start of fall officially, to start talking about some vampire and werewolf stories. Really like some Team Edward, Team Jacob, but nobody's really Team Jacob, so probably just Team Edward.
Starting off with Team Edward, the first story that I have is a vampire story.
Beautiful.
Now, this is not a romance story. It's labeled supernatural. Mm-hmm. It's called Vampire Syndrome. It's a completed series on Webtoon. There are 80 episodes. They're a little bit longer, so they do take a little bit to get through, but not quite I Was the Final Boss long. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it would be too long for you.
Okay. Good note.
It is a political drama with vampires.
Well, if this doesn't sound right up your alley.
It is right up my alley. And honestly, I went into it completely blind. I picked it because the cover picture looked really cool. Mm-hmm. And it actually has a really unique art style. Everything it's like super blocky. One of those that's kind of like a thick line, you know?
Yeah.
But it's tonal. So when it's humans or vampires who are pretending to be humans, the entire background, foreground, the people, everything has like a blue tone to it. Mm-hmm. If it's vampires who are actively acting as vampires or like appearing as vampires or hunting humans, then everything has like a red, pink tone to it. So you can tell what's going on. It has a lot of main characters to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually not going to talk about any of the main characters, really. I'm just going to give like a breakdown of the world overall because it's a really interesting setup that it has. And it's more about like a story of trying to get everyone to get along and like, can vampires and humans coexist? Mm-hmm. And you find out through this story, maybe they can, maybe they can't.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of components to this. The political part comes in with a few groups. So we have hunters who are humans who hunt vampires.
Okay.
There is a group called the Red Wolves, and they are vampires who hunt vampires.
Interesting.
And they are hired by a group called the Afters, which is like the top tier level of the richest vampires who control basically everything.
Okay.
So they are giving orders to the Red Wolves, who are then giving orders to the hunters to kill vampires. Mm-hmm. So it's very, trickle-down effect. And the hunters don't know that they're being ordered by vampires. If they find out, then the Red Wolves will kill the hunters who find out because it's like a big secret.
But why?
I don't know. Just because it is. They don't want... I think the vampires...
Do they think the hunters would rebel or something?
Well, I think it's more like the vampires who are kind of empowered don't want the other vampires to know that they're hunting vampires. Because it's kind of like the wealthy vampires are preying... And they're like the stronger vampires. They've been around longer, so they're physically stronger. They have acquired more wealth. They have all the knowledge, everything like that. And they're hunting and killing all of these, what they call the lesser vampires. Mm-hmm. So that's like one facet of this that goes throughout this story. There are a lot of people involved, different political parties. There's also like human politics in it as well. So we have a human council who gets involved and they're, doing political murders and all of the whole ins and outs about it. So I love that part of it. Mm-hmm. We also have the economy that just functions on vampires are pretending to be humans. They don't want to be found out. So when you're a vampire, you have one red eye and one eye that is whatever your eye was originally before you were turned into a vampire.
Okay.
If your red eye gets exposed to the sun, then you do the traditional vampire poof into dust. Mm-hmm. But as long as your red eye is covered, then you're fine. So vampires either wear an eye patch, or the kind of wealthier ones usually wear a contact lens that hides that they're vampires. So they're trying to not be seen as vampires. Mm-hmm. So this has created a booming business in wine that is not really wine. It's blood.
Okay.
So there's the blood manufacturing industry, which has the blood manufacturers. Mm-hmm. It has blood couriers, which are the delivery system. There are blood dealers who sell the blood to the vampires, and they call it wine for everyone. Mm-hmm. But people know that it's blood. It's more just like, we're going to do this anyways. Like, everyone knows what's going on, but no one wants to say it.
So is it kind of like a corrupt blood bank?
Kind of. I don't know. Not really. Because there are people who are called blood bags, and they are the ones who are having blood taken from them. So one of the main storylines is about a boy and his sister is one of these blood bags. And his father is the one who is making him be the blood manufacturer and take her blood and like dilute it down, you know, do all of these different things with it and sell it to the population. So then him and the sister and the mom tried to escape, and the mom ended up dying. And so then he eventually escapes with his sister, and they end up killing the dad. Or you don't directly see him be killed, but it's implied that he's killed. So he's the manufacturer, and someone kind of plants this idea in his head of saying, you control what is put in there. You can do whatever you want. So he keeps making it stronger and stronger and stronger until people are addicted to it. It's called blood drug. So it's basically like blood drug, but with only one D. Mm-hmm. And so vampires start becoming addicted to this blood. And once they have this, they like just one drink of it and they will go crazy and start attacking everyone nearby, where normally they're more controlled than that. Mm-hmm. And so that is causing all kinds of problems. You find out that vampires are hurt and killed by other vampires' blood touching them. Mm. So there's all these like injections. That's how you kill the vampires, is you inject them, and then they die from that, like from having vampire blood put into them. Or you see like them just doing the classic, I'm gonna cut my palm and just let the blood drip over you, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So there are a lot of different people going through this. There is one girl who is a vampire, and the guy who is in love with her is a hunter, and he became a hunter because he knew that she had become a vampire and he wanted to find her. And then you see like throughout their storyline that they have known each other since they were children, like 6 years old. He asked her to be his girlfriend. Aww. And she shot him down like every time. And finally he quits asking, and she comes up to him and says, hey, why did you quit asking me to be your girlfriend? And he's like, well, I've asked like 50 times.
Yeah.
And that girl over there, she likes me, so I think I'm going to go, be with her. And then the girl's like, well, someone who is persistent would ask 100 times, so maybe you should be more persistent. And he's like, okay, you've got my competitive nature going on. I'm going to ask you 100 times. And so then you see like in the future when he finds her when she's a vampire and he's a hunter, he's like, it's the 100th time. I'm going to ask you. What are you going to do? So there's just all those different storylines going on throughout. And like the main theme of the story is trying to have this like vampires coexist with other vampires, coexisting with humans, and like, will it work? Won't it work? Mm-hmm. And you find out in the end how it goes, but I won't spoil it so that you can all go read it. But it is a thrilling story. I absolutely love this one. I thought it was just so unique from we read a lot of romance. This was not really a romance at all, so I kind of enjoyed the break from the romance for a little bit.
Yeah, it is nice to kind of take the step out.
Yeah.
I, however, did not.
So
So I also did a nice little Team Edward moment, read a vampire story. This one is called Bloody Lies. It is a boy love vampire story on Leezen. It's released every Wednesday and it currently has 38 episodes. This story has been a little hard to follow. So I'll speak on what I feel very confidently about, and also don't want to give spoilers because there's a lot going on with the story and I kind of want people to have the same surprises that I did. But the story revolves around Eugene, who was a little boy when his family was actually killed by a group of vampires. And he was practically on the brink of death himself, but he was just so terrified to lose his life that he begged them to save him. And so they did so by turning him into a vampire. He kind of formed this unhealthy and toxic attachment to the vampire that basically made him reborn. And so he almost starts like this dominant, submissive relationship with this. He's a priest, but he's also a vampire in secret. And you find out that he has some weird agenda and he uses all these vampires that he's turned to like start killing off people and vampires and like getting information for him, etc., so that he can fulfill whatever his desire is at the time. So Eugene just kind of becomes this pawn in his life. And Eugene is upset by this because he wants to be more important to the priest, Logan. So he is trying to find a way for them to get close. And Logan tells him that if he really just pursues his college degree in piano, he's really great at playing the piano, that maybe one day he can win his heart. And so he keeps trying to like learn all these different symphonies and everything else on the piano, and his piano teacher says that he sounds like shit.
Oh no.
He's like, you aren't in it, like you aren't, you know, getting into the music, you aren't feeling it. I don't feel anything when you play. It's just very, you know, mechanical. And he gets really upset. He's been devoid of human emotions now since he was like 6 years old because he's been a vampire and his life has completely turned upside down.
Wait.
And so,
if he was a vampire, if he was turned when he was 6 years old, does that mean he looks like a 6-year-old?
No, they still age, just slowly.
Okay.
So, yeah, they still age.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's like a college-aged kid now.
So that's like a Renesmee or whatever her name is.
Yeah,
situation.
I guess so. Yeah. Unfortunate. Unfortunate for anyone who knows what we're talking about. But, yes, so he's college age now, probably like in his early 20s. And yeah, his music teacher basically just threw a smack in the face saying, your piano playing sucks. And I feel nothing when you're playing. And so you need to like pour your emotions into this because you'll never get it otherwise. And he's been so detached from human emotion now for so long that he doesn't really know how to pour emotions into it. He's like, I don't even know that I have healthy emotions towards Logan. It's more like I want to feel loved and accepted, and I don't feel that. So I'm constantly like trying to get that from him, but it's never returned, like ever. So Eugene ends up like going to the school locker room and he sees this like jock hooking up with some guy in the locker room, and he's super taken aback by it, had like no idea that anyone was in there, and he's kind of like freaked out at first. And then the jock invites him to join and he like leaves in a hurry. Like has no idea. He's like, no, I'm not getting involved with that.
Goodbye.
Yeah. But the thing that crosses his mind is that when he saw them hooking up, he's like, I don't think that jock was like in love with the person that he was, you know, partnered up with. I think he was able to like put on a show and put like some sort of emotions into it. So he eventually approaches that jock and says, teach me how to fake my emotions. Because I don't know how anymore.
For the piano.
Yeah. Supposedly. So he says, teach me how to fake my emotions, or like put some emotions into something. Like, you're really good at pretending to. I saw you with your partner and it looked like love, but I know that it wasn't. And so, like, how do you do that? And the jock basically agrees. He's like, yeah, but you're going to learn by being my new hookup buddy. Like, we're going to hook up together and you'll understand it eventually. Mm-hmm. So you do find that Eugene is starting to get close now to this jock. His name's Dominic. And he almost starts to realize how toxic everything is with Logan, the person that, you know, turned him into a vampire, everything else. You find out Eugene is his progeny, which means that he's basically linked to him, like, through, like, blood. Like, almost like blood brothers, but in, like, a weird sexual kind of way. So Eugene starts having these really conflicting feelings and realizes he is starting to have feelings, but they're towards Dominic and not Logan. Like, he puts together that this dominant submissive relationship isn't what he wants with Logan. And so the story just kind of revolves around Eugene trying to feel again and feel more human and trying to kind of leave his life as a vampire behind, even though he is a vampire.
Ooh, it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. There are a lot of twists and turns in this one. And I will say the one thing that got confusing for me is a lot of the characters look very similar.
Yeah.
So when I didn't have the names there were a few different blonde characters that looked almost identical. And I couldn't tell if they were Dominic or if they were just some other random person. So hopefully it makes a little more sense for everyone else, because I did have to go back and reread. But it is a really fun one to read. I did pick it up because it had hashtag BDSM on it. Sounded interesting. So
Right up your alley.
Right up my alley. But it's super fun. I think that you would like it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. It sounds really good. The one that I'm talking about next is not BDSM at all.
I didn't assume it would be.
It's super, super cute. It's called My Husband's a Werewolf.
Aw.
It's on Tapas, 42 episodes. It is a completed series. It's very short. It's one panel per episode. Mm-hmm. So it's basically just like a really short comic, but it's a slice of life just about these two guys, Jay and Lake, who is the werewolf. And it's just showing their everyday life as a married couple, but also Jay is saying all of the kind of unique, funny things that happen because his husband is a werewolf.
Yeah, I'd assume some things ensue.
So you find out that his parents, Lake's parents, are were-cats. So he has a lot of cat-like tendencies. I think you would be friends with him.
Probably.
But he does get caught in boxes. Because, you know, there's a panel where it just shows him sitting in a box and he's like, I don't know how I got here.
I mean, me too, buddy.
It's super, super cute. And we see that Jay is a pro gamer. He says that Lake is his housewife. So Lake doesn't have a job. The pro gaming makes enough money for both of them.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just like, you know, very cutesy going throughout their lives. You see them growing flowers. You see them going on vacation. They have a New Year's party. Just all of these little scenes, really, really super cutesy of them together. Mm-hmm. There is a digital copy of this that you can buy with like more scenes, more detailed images and things like that on Etsy. So the artist posted her Etsy on Tapa, so you can link to it from there and find that. So it's only $5. Aww. So I'll probably get that. There is also a introduction to another couple in this, one of Jay's friends. You meet him because Jay is saying, oh, so do people think that it's weird that I have a werewolf husband? Let's ask my friend. And then it cuts to the friend and you see the friend is like, no, it's not really that weird, but I have a siren for a boyfriend, so, you know, it's on par. And that is also a series that you can read on Tapas. I haven't started that one yet, but I have saved it. It's called My Boyfriend's a Clingy Siren.
That's so cute.
So I'm gonna have to read that one too. It is marked as being on hiatus, and the last update was 2022. So I'm not sure if it's an abandoned story or not, but still worth the read, especially because it's that short form kind of slice of life comedy. So it doesn't really have like the through story of being completely lost without an ending. So I think that it would still be a good one to read.
Oh no, that sounds so fun. I like that they weave the two together.
Yeah, it's super, super cute. You could read it in probably an hour.
Oh my gosh. Well, don't tempt me. I probably will, especially like since we've started reading all of the vampire and werewolf stories. I was like, yeah, I like vampire and werewolf stories.
Yeah.
This is why I read Twilight in the first place.
Yeah.
But these are better.
These are better. I mean, we were reading some other vampire and werewolf stories already.
Yeah.
You know, we had After Dark, which, just as an aside, I did not read this one for this episode, but the creator of After Dark also has another series that is another werewolf series. So if you read After Dark, go find that creator on Webtoon and look at her other series.
Ugh, her art is gorgeous too.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I will say it's been really nice to kind of get into the mood. So I'm looking forward to that one. The werewolf story sounds really cute. Okay, so the next one that I'm talking about today is called Vampire Family. This is a newer series on Webtoon, but people who have been on Webtoon for a while may note that this is the same artist that made Love Advice from the Grand Duke of Hell. My husband recommended it to me. He loves the series and told me to read it, and I didn't, but I read this one instead. So it definitely worked out. And I honestly want to read the other series now, which is completed and is supposed to be wonderful. But Vampire Family is a comedy. It releases every Wednesday on Webtoon, and it is 16 episodes right now. Super easy to catch up with. And I will say the episodes have a lot of content in them, but they go by really quickly. And there's so much like comedy in the pictures and in what's going on in the story that like it's just so good at page turning. Like you just want to keep reading more. So the story is about Natalia. She is a vampire and she has her older brother, younger sister, and her parents. And they're all sitting down to dinner, and you just see that she is so bored with how monotonous life is in their like really dark house where they do basically nothing except for drink blood and just exist there. And so at the dinner table, she brings up to her parents, I want to go to school, like a human school, because we don't have school. I just want to be able to like go and be somewhat normal and learn things and just find some varying degree of like what life is. So her parents are immediately taken aback. Her dad says yes, and her mom is very hesitant. Mind you, her mom is also like just a giant bat. And it is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh. Like fully all the time a bat.
So far as we've seen her, yes.
Is that a personal choice? Is that just who she was born to be?
Kind of hope it was a choice. And you know what? Maybe it is who she was born to be. You go, Batgirl. But her mom is really hesitant, but the dad says, fine, as long as you don't let anyone know that you're a vampire, I'm fine with it. You can go to school. So she is super excited, immediately is going to school. You see her on her walk to her high school, and this girl in the middle of the sidewalk just freezes, and her friend goes, are you okay? What's going on? She goes, something's just come over me. I don't know. Like, it just feels really weird, and she's shaking, and she's like frozen in her tracks. And then Natalia just walks by unbothered with an umbrella and sunglasses on. And you can see like there's like steam, like cold steam coming out of her mouth just from like how like cold her body is. But it is just so funny. She has this obvious effect on everyone around her. Her parents are like, don't let them know who you are. And everyone immediately knows. She has the best of intentions. But her teacher is like, hey, we have a new student. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And Natalia says, hi, I'm Natalia. Let's make some great memories this year. And in her head, she goes, man, I did such a good job at that. Like, I rock. And all the students just heard, let's make some memories. Like, saw like fangs and glowing red eyes. And so the perspectives are a little different there. But Natalia ends up getting sat by a kid named Evangelo, who is known for being pretty quiet in his class. Like, everyone has a crush on him. He's very handsome, but he keeps to himself. And she sits down next to him, and he's immediately terrified, or so you assume. And you find out Evangelo is not terrified. He sees this as an opportunity because his family is vampire hunters.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, in order to be included in the family, you have to kill a vampire. He's like, this is my chance. I'm going to kill this girl. And then I get to be a part of the club. And so he's sitting there trying to double check that she's a vampire. He like snaps a picture of her. And you can see that like there's just like smoke where her face would be, like no face or reflection. And he's like, this is it. Like, I've got it. So she goes to ask him a question about math homework. And everyone's looking over at her. They're like, oh my God, the new girl's so pissed. She's going to kill us. And realistically in her head, she's like, math doesn't make sense. I hate this. Like, she's just upset.
Me too, girl.
Me too. So she like reaches over and touches Evangelo. And she's like, will you help me with this? And he goes, come outside right now. Like, you come with me. And so the entire class is like spying on them and looking across the corner. And he's standing in the sun. He goes, okay, I'm standing in the sun. I've got this like blessed stake behind my back. And he goes, okay, I needed to tell you. And Natalia goes, shh, you stop right there. I know what this is. And I accept your affections. I will allow you to be my lover.
Oh my God.
She had heard his heartbeat going up and saw him sweating and thought that it was affection.
Oh no.
And she goes, I've read about this in books. And you see her literally reading Twilight.
Oh no.
So she is like, I've read about this thing called love. I want to experience it too. So the rest of the day, she's dragging him around, like holding his hand. She like feeds him lunch because he's so sick to his stomach about how things went. He can't eat. She's just like force feeding his lunch to him. And he goes to the bathroom and gives himself a pep talk. He's like, come on, she's making fun of you. She knows you're a vampire hunter. And she's saying, you're not even worthy of me being afraid of you. So I'm going to keep you even closer. So he grabs a steak and he leaves the bathroom and he's like, Natalia. And he goes to lunge toward her. And she automatically assumes he's going in for a hug. And she goes, I can't. And puts her hand out really hard. She's like, I can't. It's too soon. And it flings him down the stairs with so much force that like you think he could have died. Like he just like fell down this entire flight of stairs, is knocked unconscious. So unfortunately, Evangelo then wakes up and he is not anywhere familiar. And Natalia has brought him to her home because he was on the brink of death. You find out he had 7 broken ribs, like a brain bleed, like he was not in good shape at all. And she had a lot of convincing to do with her parents who were like, why'd you bring this human here? We're not fixing him. Like, we don't trust humans. And he can just die. Like, he's obviously dying already. And she goes, well, you said that you always take care of family. And he's basically family because he's my boyfriend.
Oh my gosh.
And so the mom makes a magic potion that helps heal Evangelo. And so Evangelo starts to realize she's not making fun of him. She really thinks that this is love between the two. So he kind of leans into it for a second. And he goes, oh yeah, like, well, I mean, I wouldn't possibly ditch you after what happened. And she goes, well, I'm a vampire and you need to know that. And he's like, really? I had no idea. And so he goes to the bathroom and the dad immediately picked up on the fact that he was a vampire hunter. He had like a crucifix on his necklace that said death to vampires, like all this stuff on him. And the dad was like, I found your stash. Like, I know that you're a vampire hunter and you're trying to prey on my daughter. Mm-hmm. And so he immediately chains him up in the basement. And Natalia tricks her father to get Evangelo out. And she's like, let's run away together. And Evangelo can't really argue with it. Like, if he doesn't have Natalia going with him, then he's not getting out of there alive. So basically they run away together. And she makes it very obvious that she loves his company. She's so happy to just be experiencing what real life is. And he almost kind of takes pity on her every once in a while, he has his natural instincts of wanting to kill her. But he also looks at her and he goes, wow, she has no friends and like no real life to look forward to without this. And so it's just about her trying to navigate living in the human world. She doesn't really have the support of her parents. And so now she's trying to rely on this poor little vampire hunter who's terrified for his life, truly. But there are so many twists and turns. There are a bunch of adorable characters. There's a side story about her little sister and this little boy who ends up meeting her. And he falls head over heels in love with her because of how strong she is. And so he just follows her around like a lost puppy. And he's like, teach me how to be strong. But they are so cute. Every single character, I love it. It had me laughing out loud. And I tell you what, these characters' facial expressions are so freaking funny. I just loved every second. So, highly recommend.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it sounds really funny. It had me laughing just with your description. The miscommunication, I think, is on par with the Fallen Duke miscommunication. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest of all time.
I'd have to agree. I would have to.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Well, the next one I have is not funny.
Oh no.
It's also on Webtoon. It's called Earthshine. So this is a werewolf story.
Okay.
And there are currently 85 episodes. There are 2 seasons, and it's on a break after season 2 has been completed.
Okay.
So catch up now before season 3 comes back.
I'll add it to the list. The ever-growing list.
So this one is about Daira and Yulia. Mm-hmm. So they are brother and sister. Yulia's older by 5 years. Daira is the younger brother. And it starts off with them as younger children. Well, Yulia is 18 at the time because she is able to have custody of Daira because their father has left and they have no idea why. He just walked out one day. So you see them kind of walking around town, hanging out with friends, just kind of living their life in this small town. And you see them interacting with this like older lady who owns the store. She's telling Yulia that she needs to go and help out her husband, who is taking all these packages because they're really strong. And you find out that they are lichen. So they are purebred werewolves. And they are kind of just walking around trying to help Elias, who's the husband of the lady. And he ends up getting attacked by another werewolf who was in the area and ran away, but didn't kill him completely. You see that he is still alive, but he's just kind of fallen down by his truck. And then you see Yulia and Daira come up to him, and Yulia's like, I can turn you, and then you won't die if you want. Like, please let me know if you can. And he kind of doesn't really say anything because he's just out of it at this point. Like, he's lost too much blood. He's been attacked. He just isn't, coherent enough to say this. So Yulia kind of takes the executive decision and she goes to bite him. And as she's doing this, you see the wife come up and a lot of other townspeople, and they turn on her so quick. And they're like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And she says, we found him like this. I was trying to save him. I was just trying to, turn him into a werewolf so that he wouldn't die. And the wife is like, do you think he would want to live like that? And so then she runs up to try and save him. He kind of has already passed at this point. And you see one of the townspeople has called the SLPP, which is a kind of military group that takes in lichen and microchips them and then sends them back out to the world. So they want to know where they are because they're stronger, they can harm people, and they just feel like if they're found, then they need to be managed, basically. Yeah. So someone calls that group and they not attack, but they put a tranquilizer in Yulia and kind of bring her in this truck. She tells Dayra, like, right before they get there, she's like, let me handle this. I'll get out of this. You just stay here and wait for me. He doesn't listen. He has a moment with all of the townspeople where he's saying, how could you do this? You have known us since we were born. You know that Yulia would never do anything to hurt anyone in this town. How could you do this to us? Yeah, and then he runs away, runs after the truck. You see him kind of turn into a complete wolf. And there are levels. So purebreds are the only ones who can turn completely into wolves. Otherwise, it's more of a kind of hybrid wolf. More of like just the claws and the fangs and all of that, but the full wolf is just a purebred thing, and they're much stronger than werewolves who have been turned from another werewolf. So he's kind of attacking this vehicle and trying to get her out. Then you see they kind of overturn the vehicle. The lady whose husband is the one who died, she comes with like a shotgun and basically says, you know, she took Dayra's words to heart and kind of said, okay, I'm gonna help out. Like, he's right. She would never harm anyone. And
I was so nervous that she was gonna shoot him. And I was like,
no. Yeah, she's like, that basically the townspeople realize after his speech that they made a mistake. They know these kids and they know that they wouldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
And they feel like they need to protect them now. So they go, they get Yulia back. This is kind of a pivotal moment in Dayra's life. So at this point, he sees how he was able to turn the opinion of all of these people in this village. And he decides at this time that he wants to go and infiltrate the SLPP and save all of these lichen and people who have been recently turned into lichens, because once you're turned, you have less control than, you know, someone who's been turned much longer ago. I think that's a common trope.
Yeah.
But then we cut to the future. He is 20 years old and he has been living in the larger town that is nearby, or probably more of a city nearby. And he is working in this SLPP. And you see him, he has two people in his group. His best friend, Vaughn, who you see that Vaughn is one of the people who was there. He was driving the
SLPP.
Yeah, the SLPP truck that Yulia was captured in and that he attacked in the beginning. But since he was he transformed fully into a wolf, they didn't know that it was him. So, but they do eventually recognize Yulia and say, you're the girl from that night. You're the purebred from that night. But basically, he is just kind of trying to help out. So you see that instead of bringing in lichen, he's tranquilizing them to kind of bring them down if they are on the loose, or if they are kind of not going crazy, but what am I thinking of?
Not in their right minds. Kind of.
Yeah, if they're not in their right mind, he's just trying to get them to calm down. And then he leaves a note for them. And he'll leave a note saying, you know, go to this place and they will help you and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You find out that there's a really large encampment of lichen being run by this guy. So it's kind of by an abandoned church. And it's being run by this guy. And there is a huge influx of people being turned into werewolves at this time. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. And you find out that this guy who is running this camp for everyone, him and a few other people are the ones who are starting to turn everyone into werewolves. So they have this huge plan that they're going to get everyone, rally them together to either turn everyone into werewolves or kill all the humans who don't turn into werewolves. And so they're about to kind of execute this plan. Right before they do, you see that Yulia and Dayra have this fight with another purebred werewolf. And then the purebred werewolf comes to this leader of this group and says, we don't need to do this anymore. I've found I found a host. So you know that something is happening with the siblings. They're a host for something. And so then he just abandons everything. He's like, okay, see you later. You guys fend for yourselves. I'm out. And that's when all of these recently turned werewolves are like, wait, you're just abandoning us now, like after all of this? And they find out that they're the ones who started to turn everyone. And so it's like uproar over that.
Yeah.
Just people trying to like live, basically. And you find out that the people who are doing the microchipping, the humans, are not giving enough anesthesia. So they're physically hurting these lichen people.
Yeah.
And leaving giant scars. They put it in their neck. And the reason they leave the scar is so that people will automatically know that they're
microchipped.
Yeah, that they're microchipped, that they're a werewolf. So that they can basically discriminate against them.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of them live in this camp. They can't get jobs anywhere. And so that's kind of like, we're going back to the political thing. That's like one political aspect that's going on. Dayra is trying to change this. He's trying to get people to see that lichen are not to be feared. Like, yes, they're stronger. Yes, they're werewolves, but they're just like everyone else. And they should be allowed to live like everyone else without being in fear that bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
So the kind of other main plot we go back to that trio of werewolves who were trying to find a host. And we don't know what they're trying to do yet in the first 2 seasons, but we find out that the person that they are trying to save is Dayra and Yulia's father. So you find out that he is sick. You see him just basically stuck in this room. He's sick. He hasn't told these other werewolves that he has children. So I'm thinking he intentionally didn't tell them that he had children because he knew that they would try and get the children involved. So they're trying to hunt down his children to do something. But it's unclear at this point what they're trying to do. So those are kind of the 2 plot points right now. We've got like the political, we've got the science going on. I love this series. It is so good. The episodes are shorter, so it's easy to catch up on. It's like a page turner. Once you get to the end of one episode, you just want to keep reading. So I can't wait for this one to come back.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited. I guess it is. Now that it's a season break, I should probably catch up now.
Yeah.
It fits the mood for the season.
This is another one, too, where I picked it because of the cover photo. The cover photo is just a picture of Dayra from the profile, and it's got like this. He's kind of turning in the photo, so it's just kind of eerie. It's really cool.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to look at it. But I love that. It sounds great. All right, so last but very much not least, I have not a vampire story. I have a werewolf story for us.
Finally going Team Jacob.
Finally going Team Jacob. It's the only time I'll do it. So the last story that I'm going to talk about today is called The Wolf and Red Riding Hood. This is one that I've wanted to read for a very long time and didn't really take note that it was genuinely about werewolves until we were looking into what stories we should read. But this one is by the same artist that made Act Like You Love Me, which is one of my personal favorites. I love that story. Could read it over and over. This is a comedy, and it's a completed series here on Webtoon with 63 episodes. What I will say is that this one is also a daily pass. So I was nervous that it would take me a really long time to catch up on it. But this one gives you a daily pass, and you can get 5 ad passes. So I actually made it through the series, or the majority of the series, without purchasing any of the episodes. So
I've seen that recently for some other series too. Like I Was the Final Boss. I think you can read 10 with ads.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably just dependent on the creator. They might be able to set it up themselves or something like that.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know how it's decided, but it was really nice because I always get nervous about picking up Daily Pass series because it just moves very slowly for me. I can definitely read more than one episode in a sitting. So the fact that I was able to do 6 was really nice.
Yeah.
But it is worth it. It's worth the wait, worth the ads, worth the money if you want to put the money into it as well. But this story revolves around Anna. She is a normal high school student, or so you assume. But the story opens up with her sitting in her kitchen with like a giant pot of food, and she's using chopsticks to pick all the beef out of her mom's kimchi stew. And her mom catches her and is really pissed off. She's like, stop doing that. This was supposed to be dinner for tomorrow. Like, you ate all the beef. You didn't even, like, eat some of the kimchi. What the heck? And Anna is just like, I don't know what's going on with me. I have an insatiable appetite. I can't, like, I'm only craving meat. It's all that I want. And like she looks over at her family dog. His name is Pickles, and he's like a little Pomeranian. And he's terrified of her. And you don't know or have context as to whether or not like that's always been that way. But Anna loves Pickles. And she's like, I'm sorry I scared you. And he's like hiding behind the mom. And the mom just goes, no, I think you're just hitting puberty. Like, it's just a weird appetite thing. You just have a craving for meat right now. It'll go away. And it doesn't really go away. She starts to grow some fangs and some unwanted hair. And she's continuing to crave this meat all the time. Her mom keeps brushing it off, says, nah, you're fine. Go to school, whatever. Well, her mom starts to take notice and eventually decides and acknowledges that something is odd because Anna wakes up one morning with ears and a tail. Which is not very normal. And so she has these like dog ears and a giant bushy tail. And they're trying to figure out how they can get her to school because it's exam season. So the mom puts her in these like tracksuit sweatpants and tucks the tail into one of the pant legs. So one leg looks giant and the other looks normal. And then she puts like this red like winter hat on her, but it's the middle of summer. So she looks insane. And she gets in trouble at school for breaking the like clothing conduct.
You can't wear hats, right?
Yeah, you can't wear hats in school. And so she just runs away from school because she doesn't know what to do. But she's starting to panic, and the mom calls her mom, so Anna's grandmother, and is just nonchalantly talking, and just it happens to come up in conversation. Oh, by the way, Anna's been acting kind of weird, and she also has tail and ears now. And the grandma's like, you idiot, I tried telling you that this can happen to our family. Like, this is something passed down through the generations. And you see a flashback of the grandma telling the story to the mom as a child. And the mom was like, yeah, like brushing it off, like wasn't paying attention. So now she has these ears and everything. She's trying to figure out how to be normal. And as she's outside kind of having her panic, she starts getting animalistic urges, and she sees this bird and starts chasing after it and catches it in her mouth. And as she catches it in her mouth, she looks up, and one of her fellow students named Jay has watched her do this. He sees her ears. He sees her with a bird in her mouth. And he's just like, okay, and walks away. And so she's super confused as to why this guy did not panic at the sight of her with ears and a bird in her mouth. But she dropped the bird, and then they just went about their business. So she ends up seeing Jay at school the next day, and her ears and tail have gone down. Her grandma said, if you just eat a bunch of meat, like if you just listen to the cravings and you eat all of this meat, then you're good to go and everything will be fine. And she does wake up the next morning and her ears and tail are gone. So she goes, oh, okay, I just have to eat a shit ton of meat and I'll be okay. So she goes to school and Jay is there, and Jay is like continuously just near her constantly. And Anna's like, oh my gosh, he's going to tell people that I'm a weirdo and I caught a bird in my mouth and like this is going to ruin me. I'm like pretty new to this school. And you find out that Jay is actually more admiring her because he is haunted by a bunch of ghosts and spirits. Think like a more wholesome version of Lee Nock from Ghost Nocturne.
Oh, no.
But he just has ghosts and spirits around him all the time. Like, he can't sleep. He can barely eat. He can't focus on school. So he's basically just labeled a delinquent because he skips class all the time because ghosts are harassing him and he can't focus. And what he found out when he saw Anna, he barely even registered that she had ears and a bird in her mouth because being around her made the ghost disappear. So automatically he is just like drawn to her like a magnet. He's like, I need to be near this girl because she makes life bearable. And he can see, since he can see all the spirits, that she has this giant wolf spirit attached to her. And he's pretty sure that that's what's scaring the rest of the ghosts away. Mm-hmm. But he just kind of ignores it. He's like, I don't care what it is that's keeping the ghosts away. As long as it keeps them away, like, I'm good. So that's what makes me happy. She also meets another fellow classmate. Her name is Sheena. And she's from an entirely different class and grade. But this girl just kind of approaches her and randomly headbutts her in the head. And everyone is just shocked. Like, where did this girl come from? And why did she just headbutt Anna? And they're in the nurse's office laying next to each other. And she goes, oh, I have a bird spirit attached to me. And that little bird that you took into your mouth told me what you did and asked me to seek revenge for it. So I had to listen to that poor little bird that you attacked. And Anna's just like, this is too much for me to process in a week's time. So I'm just going to like try to take that as it comes and ignore some of this entirely. But what you learn is that Anna has not made her werewolf symptoms go away. And as she's hanging out with Jay and Sheena more and more, because they are people who know her secret and start to understand her a little better, you do see that as soon as the full moon comes out, she transforms into a giant werewolf. Like, we're talking like 10 feet tall and can't really control her urges at first until Sheena ends up giving her a piece of fried chicken. And Anna's immediately just like this giant 10-foot teddy bear of a werewolf because the meat just brought her back and she magically is just tamed and calm. She just happens to look like a scary werewolf. So she and her friends go and hide in the forest. They're trying to figure out how to make her transform back. And you learn that now it seems like she's only transforming at night. So she's like, hopefully that means it'll be a little bit better for me moving forward. But as you see all of this, another plot line kind of gets tied in. And this store clerk had like snapped a picture of Anna running away with the two kids in her giant werewolf form. And this company agent comes up to him and says, we will pay you to take down that picture and give us the only copy. And they give him like thousands of dollars. And they take this picture of Anna and they give it to the head of this company. His name's Tae Young. And he goes, I've finally found the werewolf. And so Anna is being hunted for being a werewolf by this guy, unbeknownst to her. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a game of cat and mouse while she's also trying to navigate being a freaking werewolf. Mm-hmm. It is so, so cute and funny. I love every single moment of it. The characters are great and adorable. And honestly, the little design that they have, like, they just make her look so innocent as a werewolf. Like, she's huge and menacing and has giant fangs and glowing yellow eyes. But even in the werewolf form, they just make her look so derpy. It is the funniest thing. I love this one. I'm not surprised because I loved Act Like You Love Me. And it has very similar, like, comedic moments. But I will say, definitely highly recommend. It was a really, really good one.
That sounds great. He's not a eunuch.
No, not a eunuch. But I am so happy we got to read these ones. We've definitely dabbled in quite a few different vampire and werewolf stories, but it was nice to just kind of focus our energy there Felt like the right thing to do.
Happy Twilight season.
Happy Twilight season, everybody. Unless you're a Gilmore Girls season person too.
Oh, I'm that as well.
And and we're also wishing you a happy Gilmore Girls season.
Yeah.
Because, that's worth it.
Drink more coffee.
Drink more coffee. Celebrate with some pumpkin spice or don't. Maybe some apple cider. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. The new apple crisp shaken espresso. Delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Haven't had it, but I'm a pumpkin spice
You had
gal.
the pumpkin one, so yeah.
Yeah, that is true. And I do love it. But in any case, thank you all so much for joining us on this Twilight-themed adventure. And looking forward to talking to you all on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.